Okay, good morning. Hello, and welcome to an hour of Foundation Pilates. Okay, so this is our Zoom recording from week 4 of our Pilates sessions. Just get ourselves squared up so you can definitely see me. Okay, so our feet start in parallel on the mat, okay, so roughly hip width apart, and hands just gently relax down by your sides, okay. And then I'm going to get you to just think about these shoulders and the shoulder blades and just gently ease them towards the back of the room behind you, not a huge push back, and a shoulder down position and arms down by your sides, okay. So reminding yourself that you're not necessarily just pressing the hands behind you. When I say just straight at lengthen the arms there, I'm going to be thinking of the shoulder blades back and down, and then the arms just slightly easing back to the side seam of my trousers. Okay, so you're just going to breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth as we settle ourselves down for this next hour of Pilates. Okay, gentle breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. Of course, you can go ahead and close your eyes if you want to, or pick a spot somewhere out there on the horizon out in front of you, and just gently breathing in and exhaling, and try not to be distracted, but noticing how you feel in this next session or how you feel right now. Okay, so you're going to be breathing in through the nose and letting the air come out through the parted lips, just gently noticing maybe a little puff sound as the air leaves the body. And let's go ahead and think about that breath in, allowing us to lift the spine slightly higher, growing through the crown of the head, lifting every vertebrae, that soft tissue in between each vertebrae, having a little stretch away from the one below it. Okay. Breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. And take your thoughts towards our lateral thoracic breathing. So this is going to be this breathing across this midline of the body, across this upper body. Okay, I think of this thoracic upper area, this chest space, breathing in, filling the lungs nice and deeply, and stretching across from the left to the right. Just trying to imagine yourself filling that space between the rib cage and your arm as you breathe in. Perhaps noticing the shoulder blades slightly sliding and moving away from each other as you inhale. And of course, we're trying to really remember that the inhale is not about lifting your shoulders, okay? So just remember it's not a shoulder lift as we breathe in, but it's an expansion of the lungs and ribs. As you exhale now, guys, we're going to think about this core. Let's think about what's going on in this transverse abdominis muscle, this middle section area. As you exhale, drawing yourself in, the muscles contracting and giving that spine a nice big hug or squeeze, and then you breathe in to prepare as you exhale again, squeezing in and hugging this spine with the exhale. Breathe in, growing and expanding. Exhale, shrinking through the tummy. Now, of course, that shrink through the tummy is not a fold forwards and not a collapse. It's a pull in all the way around this midsection like a corset, pulling in. And then our final piece to think about is our pelvic floor area. So as you exhale this next time, think about the areas around wind and water, so front and back passages, okay? And you're going to draw those up and in contraction around the front and back passage as you exhale. So breathing in, grow, and exhale, shrink through the tummy and draw up the pelvic floor area. We've got 3 more breaths, focusing on the pelvic floor muscles, drawing in. And this is our last 2. And our final one. Growing and then zipping up the pelvic floor, hollowing through this core, and open your eyes. Wonderful. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and stand at the ends of the mat towards the short edge of the mat. Okay, so facing away from the long length of the mat, we're going to just regroup, make sure you're feeling nice and balanced, and I want you to just take a nice step back with your right foot. Now, to begin with, it might be just a tentative step back. I want you to see if you can go a little bit further. Okay, and a little bit further. And for those of you who've gone back and you've let the heel come down, I want you to lift that right heel off the mat and you're onto your toes, okay? And if you need to, you can have the arms slightly towards your sides, okay, for balance, or on your hips. Okay, and the other thing to bear in mind is that we're not leaning forwards. All right, you've got your upper body and it's lifted up and still in that postural check position towards the ceiling. Now, your legs should both be straight here, okay? So your front leg is straight. That tends to want to bend to keep you stable. If you can, power through these legs into the floor. You can also slightly have the legs wider apart. So rather than having those legs too close, broaden the stance of that rear leg slightly so you've got a wider base, okay? Like roots of a tree. Okay, so here we are. Now, the knees, both front and back knees, I would like you to just bend and soften them slightly, okay? Now think of this upper torso, it's going to head down an elevator, so it's not going to head forwards and not going to bend forwards or travel forwards to that front kneecap. It's simply going to lower towards the mat and then it comes back up, straightening that front leg as you come back up, and then we come down, okay? So we're heading down in between these legs, if you like. So you'll need to really bend that back ankle. You see how my heel's really lifting off the mat as I bend my knees. My back knee is heading underneath my bottom here, okay? So I'm trying to think about that back knee, almost karate chopping in, woof, and it heads down underneath my body, yes? You won't be able to do this with your back foot heel down, okay, guys, just so you know. And then we're stopping down this next time, pausing in a reasonably comfortable position and arms come towards the front. We're going to double arm float for 4. Breathe in, exhale, that's 1. Breathe in, exhale, that's 2. And our 3. And our 4. Pausing now, take your arms to T, which means they're by your sides at shoulder height. Well done. Now we're going to have a little bit of a challenge. We're going to try and turn towards the side. Doesn't matter which side, see how you feel. As you turn, might make you a little bit wobbly, that's okay. Come back through to center. Let the eyes follow a point on the horizon and the body will come with you. Okay, as the eyes go, let the body twist and come with you, okay? We are going to try one more either side. Now you know what's going on, okay, which is slightly unusual for your body because your legs are facing forwards. They think they're going that way. The upper body is heading in circumduction round. So it's not necessarily a rotation round. It's not necessarily the easiest piece to do, but it is a challenge for our balance. And then you come back to center, release the arms by your side. Try and bring your back leg forwards to meet the front leg and give those legs a bit of a shake off, okay? We're going to take our other leg back, okay? So if you were there with your right, this is your left leg now, just taking a small stride back. Aware that we can maybe go a little bit further, maybe a little bit further. And of course, remember wider, slightly wider from away from each other this way makes it slightly easier, okay? Alrighty, hands choose again. If you need to have them by your side for stability, that is fine. Legs are both straight. Our upper body really lovely and lifted towards the sky. Now we're going to just soften the knees slightly. Then our body is heading down that elevator, directly down towards the floor, and then back up the crown, heading towards the ceiling. Breathe in, exhale down, and then we bring ourselves up. Again, remember, mobilize that back foot, okay? So you're really on your toes. The heel should be lifted off the mat if you can. All righty. And we're trying really hard to avoid this traveling forwards. And we're trying really hard just to lean, okay? We're thinking this is the body just sinking down. How do you need to bend your knees to do this, guys? How do you need to do that? Bend that back knee, karate chop it underneath you. That's right, sinking down. And this is our last one, holding down. In readiness for 4 arm floats. So if you haven't got your arms on your hips, just go ahead and bring them in towards the front of you. We're double arm floating, which is double arms up towards the ceiling, and then back to shoulders, shoulder height. Breathe in, exhale, number 2. And number 3, so this is an isometric hold of this squat position or lunge position. So your legs are probably shouting a bit. If you need to bring it up slightly, you're more than welcome to come slightly higher out of this. Our arms are into T for rotation. Then we're going to rotate to the side. Have a look, check out the side. Come back through to center, breathe in and rotation to the other side. Okay, one will probably feel a bit easier than the other. We're going to go one more time either side, unless you feel like this is not for you, in which case you're more than welcome to just take that back leg and drive it towards the front to bring yourself out. Otherwise, we have one more to the side. See how you feel, checking that balance, and come back through to center. Release the arms by your side, and that back leg now is going to drive to meet the front leg, and we're into a little bit of a leg shake to just cool them off. Into the center of your mat one more time, and then we have wide legs. Okay, so the toes are pointing out towards the corners of the room if you can a little bit, and you've got your heels facing in. And we're going to have just our hands on the hips to begin with. Now, just as you did a moment ago, this upper body stays nice and upright. No bottom sticking out towards the mat behind you, all right, and no leaning forwards. You're nicely set up here. Let's just go and soften the knees. Just see how they feel softening. Yeah, there we go. And then bring yourself back up. Breathe in, exhale, and just soften the knees very gently off lock. And then draw yourself into straight legs. Well done. And down. And then maybe you can start to feel that maybe you can get a little tiny bit lower. See how you feel. Totally up to you. And two more. Sliding your back as if you're against the wall behind you, okay? The whole time you slide down the wall and then you come back up the wall. Pausing here, lift for me your left heel, okay? So you're just lifting the left heel onto the balls of the foot and the toes of the foot on that left side. You're still facing forward, but of course your right leg is still straight. And we're going to attempt that same squat piece by bending that right leg, okay? And down we go. Now, it depends how deep you can get to with that left knee. You might not get very far. It might just be almost an unlock of that straight leg and a relock, but you may be able to sink deeper. But the heel stays off the ground there on the left, okay? And the right foot is flat on the mat. Okay, well done. We have three more. And two. And our last one. Coming back up into our stand with the legs straight and the heel down. Go ahead and lift now the right heel onto the ball of the foot on the right. Okay, still facing forward. Try not to turn towards that lovely lifted heel. And then we're going to breathe in. And now the left knee softens and we're down into our squat with the raised foot. Okay, so we're not straightening this leg as we come back up. The bent one stays bent. And we're just mobilizing a little bit more or making more effort on this left leg now, okay? So it's that lovely straight leg that's a little bit, working a little bit harder. Okay, well done. Facing front for me still with these hips, okay? Try not to twist. Last two. And our final one. And bring your heel down. Gorgeous, well done. We're going to toe heel walk these legs back in, which means you just bring the toes in towards each other, then the heels closer, then the toes closer, heels closer, toes closer, heels closer, and there we are in standing. Okay, so we're going to just take ourselves into a squat, all righty? So we're going to just go ahead and maybe be wider than we would be with our setup position. So you're probably a little bit wider than hip width apart, but toes are facing forwards, okay? Now this time we are going to send our bottom towards the mat behind us. So let's go ahead to begin with and just bring our arms across the front of the chest to tidy up this upper body space. Shoulder blades back and down. I'm just going to send our bottom now back as if you're just about to sit on a chair behind you there and sit down into this squat. Okay, bellies are in, so protect that lower spine so you're not having a huge arch with the tail out, belly in, and then drive yourself back up into standing. Breathe in, exhale, push your bottom back, feet are firmly planted on the floor, and lift yourself back up. Breathing in, exhale. So your chest is heading down towards those knees or towards the thighs, okay? And you're thinking about looking straight and forwards. Okay, no twist at this point. Evenly balanced between the soles of the feet, through the ankles, through the knees, and evenly balanced through the hips. Okay, well done. We're going to pause after this next one, down in your squat position, pausing here. All righty, take both hands now. So sit into those feet, take both hands out towards the front of the room. We're going to bow and arrow. For those of you who don't know this one, your elbow is going to just slice by the side of your rib cage and pull to the mat behind you. Now you're going to continue this move by looking towards that elbow and twisting to look over your shoulders, if you can see where that elbow has got to, and then you come back through to your start position where we change sides. Other elbow slices close by the side of your body. Look over your shoulder to see that elbow and reach elbow from fingertips. So you get rotation through the rib cage. One more time either side. Sit into your feet, guys. Maybe you need to pull the pelvic floor and the tummy in if you're feeling like it's getting too much in your thighs. Let those guys help, okay? Let the tummy and the pelvic floors draw in to take some weight distribution. And this is our last one, slicing our hands towards the front. Place your hands on your thighs and a little moment's reprieve. Tuck your chin to your chest, belly to spine, and start to roll up into standing. Okay, now we have one little add-on here. I want you to bring your feet closer now into your normal standing position in parallel hip width apart. Okay, we're now going to do a squat, the same squat sequence, but add on to the bow and arrow. All right, so feet are narrow. When you're ready, let's go straight on into this. Okay, breathe in, exhale, and down we go. Now the arms are going to come forwards this time. So you're just going to squat with the arms forwards and bring yourself back up. Grow tall, lift, lift, lift. Breathe in, exhale, and squat down. And breathe in, grow tall, and down. Okay, we've just got one more, then we're holding down. So breathe in, exhale, squat and hold. Now for the bow and arrow, go ahead, let's take your right elbow, slice it by your body, the right side. Now, your elbow is going to stay in space and you're going to swing your hand like a pendulum on this right side. The hand is like a pendulum swinging to the back of the room behind you. Now we're going to lift that, we're going to rotate the hand and lift the arm overhead like a big swimming movement, a front crawl stroke, and the arm comes back to the front and in parallel to your other arm. Left now, elbow slides behind you into bow and arrow. Look over the shoulder where you pendulum the hand towards the back of the room. Rotation of the wrist and then up and over, and we're into double arm forward. One more time either side. Right elbow slides back. Look over the shoulder, pendulum your hand and twist the wrist at the wrist. Maybe add a bit more movement of the body. Maybe the back comes into this. Maybe the shoulder blade can have a stretch too. Left elbow slicing back, look over left shoulder, pendulum your arm, and then swing that arm over. Let the rest of the body join in, stretch down the side of the body, and then place your hands on your thighs. Tuck your chin into your throat space if you can, and then slowly extend those legs into straight, peeling up the upper body and restacking your spine one by one. Well done. Okay, pop yourselves down onto the mats into a sitting position, however you need to get down there. Okay, and we're going to have our feet on the floor flat, your bottoms up towards your heels, and we are lying down. Okay. Alrighty. So our hands are by our sides to begin with. Our palms are down on the mat, and our heels up towards our bottoms. And I want you to just notice how your body feels, this torso, this core area. All right. Your shoulder blades should be nice and relaxed, fairly broadly onto the mat. Your chin should be slightly tucked into your throat space. And you're thinking of maybe a natural little space between the lower back and the mat. The belly button maybe gently drawing down into that belly button space, okay, into that belly space. And the pelvic floor, which you investigated at the outset, maybe just slightly saying hello and a little bit switched on, okay. That's our first port of call. Then we're going to take a breath in. And as we exhale, bring that pelvic floor area in a little bit more, the belly a little bit more, and see if you can lift your sole of the right foot off the mat by 1 millimeter and then place it back down. So the challenge is actually the millimeter lift, teeny, teeny, tiny. Breathe in, and again, zip and hollow, tummy in, pelvic floor strong, and then lift your left sole of the foot off the floor and place it back down. Now I want you to just continue switching from side to side. It's a bit of a tick list. Whatever happens, I want you to exhale and core and floors first, then you lift the foot. So it may feel like it's a really slow process, but that's okay. Exhale, tummy, pelvic floor, and foot float. I want you to check this foot float and see if you're being honest with yourself, okay? So if you're thinking that your foot is somewhere up here and your knees coming into your chest, That is not a millimeter, okay? You'll need to go back to school. On the other side, breathe in, exhale, tummy floors, a millimeter of float. I can barely see it. That's it, and back down. Okay. Pausing here, we're going to add on. Okay, so we're going to do the foot float on the right. When you're ready, breathe in, exhale, and foot float and hold. That foot float is on the right. Now, you'll almost feel like your weight is being pulled towards that knee and foot area and end of the mat. So keep that belly in nice and tight, like it's trying to pull you back with equal force. And we're going to now work on our left foot float. So breathe in, exhale, right stays where it is. Exhale, left foot float to meet the right. So both feet are hovering, and now place that left foot back down. Relax, breathe in, right stays hovering. Exhale, left foot float to meet the right one, and back down. Breathe in, 2 more. Exhale, belly in, belly in, belly in as you tiny foot float on the left. And final time, breathe in, pull in through the pelvic floor area, really help this tiny lift. And then release both feet onto the mat. Well done. Knees into chest for a moment. All right, just to relax and let the core switch off. If you want to take small circles with the knees, sometimes that's a nice little massage on the lower back, or maybe you like to just rock from side to side. Okay, they're just little rest points in between each exercise. Place one foot down and then the other. Okay, hands back down on the floor, arms are nicely long. And we're going to go towards our left side with the foot float. So breathe in. Exhale, belly in, pelvic floor, left foot float, hold. Pause. Okay, check, that's just a tiny foot float only. Then you're going to breathe in, exhale, and lift your right foot just to meet the same height as your left, and then place the right back down on the mat. Breathe in, exhale, lift the right foot only. Left foot stays where it is, and right foot comes back onto the floor. 2 more, breathe in. Belly in, check. Are you really bringing those pelvic floor areas in as you lift your foot, guys? I want you to double check for this last one. Have a word with yourself. Breathe in, exhale, right foot float, pelvic floor strong. Tummy in, tummy in, tummy in. And then everything comes back down onto the mat. Pausing there. Well done. Okay, so we're going to add on. As we next go into a foot float, we're going to extend the leg along the end towards the end of the mat. But I want you to be really mindful that once you've foot floated, don't then ruin it by just throwing the leg out somewhere willy-nilly out here. You're going to imagine the whole time that you're traveling above this mat by the same distance, so a millimeter or 2, to the point where if you put your foot on the mat, if it was charged with electricity, you get a little electric shock and you just have to bounce off it, and it's the tiniest distance off that little electric charge of a mat. Okay, that's where you want to stay. So when you're ready, breathe in. Tummy in, pelvic floor strong. Go ahead and lift that right foot slightly. Now we're going to slide that leg along the mat. Control, focus, think. Be aware, stretch that leg nice and long, reach through the toes if you can into point. Feel the hip having a lovely stretch where the thigh bone is pulling the muscles where they are attaching into the hip joint, and then you draw that leg back in, place the foot back down and switch to the other side. Breathe in, exhale, left foot float and slide that leg away. Really low, really long, 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 and reach, reach, reach. Bring that leg back in. No rush. This is about slow and controlled. Tummy in, pelvic floor strong for the whole of the foot float and lengthen. Reach, 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 reach. And in. And one more time, breathe in, foot float and reach. Well done. And in, pausing with that leg down, and then let the pelvis settle. Arms come up towards the sky now, palms facing towards each other. So we're going to go ahead. Now we're going to do double arm floats as you take your leg along the mat. So when you're ready, breathe in. Tummy in, pelvic floor strong, right foot float. Now as you send the leg away along the mat, the arms come overhead and to roughly about your temples or your ears. Do not let the rib cage lift and arch, so you've got a huge bend. You pull that rib cage down, and then your hands come back up towards the sky, foot rests on the mat. Breathe in. Exhale as you lift your lovely left foot, a slide of the leg, a lengthening of the arms overhead, and reach. Pull that lower rib down towards the pelvis as you draw your arms up towards the sky and foot back in towards the mat. One more time either side, and extend when you're ready into a full mat stretch with one leg only. Pull that lower rib cage down, these lower floating ribs. Okay, draw them down as the arms come back to the start position. And final time, and lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. Well done. And breathe in and exhale back to center. Okay, taking the arms and we're just going to cross them across the chest here. So you've always created a balance and a weighted thoracic section here, this upper rib cage area, nicely enclosed with these arms around them. Because we're going to think about now a little bit of movement to the side, some lateral movement with the leg. Now you might find that if this leg is too heavy or too low, it's getting into the hip. When we go into your leg extension, I'm more than happy for you to just slide the leg on the floor to the side and back to center as opposed to lifting it. Okay, so that's your choice. Otherwise, we're going to breathe in, tummy to spine, pelvic floor, foot float on the right, and extend your leg out along the mat. So you're hovering just above the mat. Now, strong through the tummy, strong through the shoulders. Don't let them twist. You're going to just take your leg out to the corner of the mat and back into the midline. We've got 3 more. Breathe in, exhale out to the corner of the mat, and then back in. Well done. Shoulders down, pelvis nice and stable. Let the thigh bone do the moving to the side. Yes. Last 2, I think. And this is our final one. Out to the side. And back in, draw your leg back in and place your foot next to the other foot. When you're ready, breathe in, exhale, zip and hollow, left foot hover. Sliding the leg along the mat and into really nice extension. Make some space in that hip joint. Breathe in, exhale, and away that leg goes to the side in the corner of the mat. No massive movement, okay? If you're really getting that leg out far, you probably want to be a little bit suspicious because you might then be rolling the hips and letting the leg travel. This is working the side of this lovely hip joint and thigh bone area. We've got 2 more. Shoulders nice and stable, hips facing up to the sky. Last one. And then bring that leg back in. Well done. Bring your knees into your chest one at a time and gently hug those knees. Okay. Again, if you like some little rolls from side to side or some little circles with the knees, go ahead. And then when we're ready, we're going to roll those knees towards the side of you. Pop your hands on the mat by your shoulders and peel yourself back up into sitting. Okay. So our hands are going to be facing in towards our bottoms if we can, all right? If that's really not comfortable for you, we've got a couple of modifications. You can widen the hands, okay, so they're a little bit further apart, yes, towards the edges of your mat. Or indeed, you can turn your hands so that they're facing towards the outside edge of your mat, all righty? We're going to just do some tricep dips. They're most effective with the fingers a little bit more towards the bum if you can, all right? So you choose your modifications. Now, what I want you to do is think about this upper body and torso. Currently, at the moment, I'm quite relaxed because I've let that lovely spine have its natural flexion there. And I want to actually now try and get some lifts through the spine. So I'm going to now push my chest through my shoulders, pull my shoulder blades slightly back and down and together, and bring my belly in as well, okay? So I'm trying to think about supporting also this lower lumbar spine here. Now, the trick here is to think about now nothing moving in this body. Nothing bends into the spine like so. Nothing collapses in the shoulders towards my ears. I'm now set in stone in this upper body. But what I am going to do is ask my elbows to bend in the arm joint, okay? So I'm just going to let them just soften, yes, and straighten, and soften, and straighten. Now, these elbows are going to try and head towards the back of the mat, the short edge of the mat behind you. I would like you to try and avoid letting the elbows go to the sides. Yes, as I'm showing you now, that's a no-no. And I'm going to try and ask you to avoid bending the rest of the body, which I've mentioned already. Okay, so it's just a small aim of the elbows to the back of your mat. Shoulder blades maybe having to pull in a little bit closer together. And try and relax this hip socket area, okay? Maybe you're holding yourself really tense. Try and just let the upper body at like a lever or a hinge. And because the elbows are bending, we're working our triceps. We've got 2 more. And we've got 1 more. And pause here. Extend your legs to the front of the mat, lift your arms and just reach towards your toes to just let those arms and shoulders and wrists have a bit of a rest. Okay. We're going to go into a TikTok piece just to rest off these shoulders, and then we'll come back onto the triceps for one more piece in the triceps series. Okay, so in our TikTok series, we're going to be in sunbathing. Now, this means we're going to have our elbows on the mat and the forearm is down. Okay, and the same on the other side. I like to call it sunbathing because I imagine myself on a little lounger, just checking out the pool. Okay, checking out what's going on. And just to get an even more nosy look about what's going on over in the pool, I need to really lift my gaze, lengthen my neck, and have a little look and look-see by having a little stretch through this torso. To do that, my shoulder blades again are back and down. My neck is long. I'm not necessarily trying to crunch my chin in. I'm not throwing my neck back. It's pretty much in alignment. Okay, looking out towards the side of the room. Now, tummies are in, as I say, if you can, and I want you to walk 1 foot up, bend your knee and the other. Okay, glue your knees together now for me and your feet are neighbors. All right. As with your work then with the tricep dips in our last piece, again, imagine your torso is now absolutely rock solid. Yeah. And I want you to just take your knees together in unison over towards the right. Now, they won't get too far because to go really far, you'll probably have to bend, lose form at the shoulders, twist through the torso, and I don't want you to do that. So it's not a big distance. Breathe in and go ahead and take your knees to the other side. Not that far. And come back through to center. Breathe in, exhale to the side. And if you're really struggling here and you're finding this is way too much in the neck, perhaps way too much in the shoulders, please go ahead and take yourselves down on the mat. And you can do this piece lying down, but still with a conscious awareness that you're not trying to roll over and get the knees to the floor. Okay, you're nice and controlled through the torso, almost like it's set in stone. And you're just taking those knees tick-tock from side to side. For those of us still in sunbathing, still tummy in, growing nice and tall, let's pause in the legs to the side position. I don't mind which side it is, but think of your leg that's nearest the ceiling now. And I want you to straighten that leg into a pointed leg. Knee is still on knee. Yes, glued together. Now, even if you're lying down, you can do this too, okay? And I'm going to get you to hold this shape, and with this shape in glued together, knees glued together, bring your legs back to center and then place your foot back down. Now your knees track to the other side. The top leg straightens into extension, knee on knee. Hold that shape, knees glued together, and then draw your legs back to center, place the foot back down. Grow tall, shoulders back, over to the side. Top leg into extension. Again, of course, if this is all too much, you can just go from side to side for the last one. Over to the side. Top leg extends. Use that shape to draw yourself back to center and place your foot back down. Well done. Everyone just lying down on the mat there and take a full mat stretch where your arms come overhead and legs are long. Reach through from the fingertips to the toes. And if you will, for a moment, imagine your right hand and your right foot are both going to try and reach their own walls on their side of the room. Okay, so they're stretching away from each other. And you might feel that pelvis slightly shift, maybe a stretch down the right. You might feel like you almost look like you've bent like a banana. Okay, that's okay. I'm going to ask you to do the same on the left side. So left hand and left foot, reach, 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 stretch away from each other. Reaching down the left side of the body, creating a crescent or banana shape. And then come back through to center. Well done. Placing your feet now back up towards your bottoms. Bring your hands overhead. Roll the knees over towards the side. Place your hands by your shoulders and we're going to sit up for our last of the tricep series. I did mention there's one more bit. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, so your fingertips again are facing towards your bottom. Now, we're not necessarily doing any bends this time, so don't worry too much. You can have your hands slightly wide if you want to, if that feels more comfortable. But let's go ahead and try and tidy up this upper body by shoulders away from earlobes, our chest pushing through the shoulders and belly in. Now then, I want you to try and keep that torso nice and still, okay, your pelvis nice and still, And just lift your right hand off the mat, floating it off, and place it back down. And breathe in, lift your left hand off the mat. Now to lift the hand, we're trying to really avoid that lift being from the body. Yes, you're trying to think this is just the core, staying nice and still. Pull in the tummy, pull in towards that spine as you just secure yourself on 3 points on the floor as opposed to 4. If you're able to take it another level, you can lift your hand, and I'm going to get you to touch your opposite kneecap and down. Breathe in, exhale, touch opposite kneecap and down. Slightly weightless through the soles of the feet. Bring that belly in, pulling in through the core as you switch from side to side. Now you may want to take it another level. Perhaps you can add in the opposite foot lifting. So as you come to the kneecap, you lift that leg, and maybe you can reach down towards the shin area. Breathe in, still nice and strong through the upper body. It's a movement of the limbs, not the spine. And switch, and down, and switch, and down, or just the hand float. Go back a level. Remember, the levels are there for you to choose. Okay, and then we're now releasing down. Wonderful. Feet are full, so legs are fully extended, feet are flexed, and down towards those feet for a forward fold stretch. Okay, nice, simple relaxation stretch. Nothing too complicated, because we're going to take ourselves into side lying. All righty, so roll over onto your sides. Legs are straight down the middle of the mat. Choose your position for the arm, either extended or your hand is supporting your head and our arm is bent. Top arm just securing yourself pretty much around the belly button area, not too high, because then we tend to want to use it as a rollover support. So your legs are really long. A little bit of time just to remind yourself of your position here. Shoulder blades are back and down, yes. Nice long necks, because you can get a bit hunched up here and we lose the head into this neck space. Nice long neck, shoulder blades down. Top leg reaching a little millimeter longer and further towards the end of the room and mat if you can. Yes, to just make sure that our hips are stacked, okay? Because what happens is all this weight here in this upper body sinks down towards the mat, pulls this top hip in the direction of your ear and your head, and then this top leg, top foot is closer towards you. Pushing that top leg away, top foot away, brings those hips into being perfectly stacked up, one above the other. All righty, small tip. Okay, without much more blathering, I'm going to ask you to lift that top leg. So it's just a simple straight leg side lift. Okay, breathe in, single leg lift. Okay, so we're going to do a little bit of hip mobilization here. All righty, so first of all, seeing how we feel with this side move. We've done lots of nice warming up with our lunges and our plies earlier on. So I'm hoping that our hips are feeling fairly mobile and warm. And we're going to leave the leg up this next time with a raised leg position here. Okay. Now, I would like you to bend your top leg, and I want you to take your knee up to the sky and your toe down towards your inside edge of your knee joint. Okay, now if this is really not comfortable for you, you're more than welcome to have that knee a little bit forwards. You're also more than welcome to just put the foot slightly behind your lower leg. If that lift is just a little bit too much for the hip, do just touch behind the knee joint if you want to. But what I would like you to do is then see if you can just press, not with your hand necessarily, just press your knee slightly back. So you're opening the front of the pelvis here. We're stretching the front of the pelvis here like we're opening a book towards the front of the room there. Now we're going to then think about that leg extending towards its start position where your foot is on foot, knee on knee, and your hips are perfectly stacked. We go into our lift leg. Bend, touching towards the middle of that knee, whether on or behind, pressing your knee behind you, lifting and opening the front of the pelvis, and then sliding that leg down towards the bottom leg where it starts to more into a lift. And bend with a touch. Stretch that knee backwards or pressing it backwards and into a leg on leg. Breathing in, exhale, lift and touch. Press to open and down we go. Well done. Pausing here, bend your lower leg at the knee, so your foot then heads up towards your bottom, okay? And we're going to lift the top leg to hip height. Now we're also going to bend the top knee at 90 degrees. Okay, so just 90 degrees. The foot isn't high, it's not low. Your knee is almost on a table. Okay, we're going to imagine it at hip height of a lovely big old table here. Now you're going to breathe in, and as you exhale, bring that knee into your chest. Okay, so with this knee into your chest, you're now core nice and strong, belly disappearing, and your heel stays up towards your bottom. Now we're going to swing that knee behind you. Don't extend the leg, okay? You're still keeping the heel nice and close to your bum. Where we breathe in, exhale, bring your knee into chest. Breathe in, exhale, and send the knee behind you. Breathe in, exhale, and knee to chest. Breathe in, exhale, knee behind, stretch the hip flexor. And last one, breathe in and behind. Okay, wonderful. Bring that knee now in front of you and place the knee and the foot and the shin down on the floor, okay? Extend your lower leg so it's straight now, back down the middle of the mat. Check you're nice and neat and tidy up top here. Sometimes you get a bit slumpy. So remember, shoulder blades back and down, neck is long. Pull that leg towards the other side of the room and plop a little glass of water on the top of your ankle bone of that extended leg. Glass of water perched and in readiness for a lift. Let's lift that glass of water and lower and lift and lower. Okay, so a couple of things happen here. Our knee tends to bend to make it easier because that lovely little inner thigh doesn't like traveling very far. So it'd be much easier if the knee was bent, okay? But I want that leg to be straight. The other thing is we tend to have that leg forwards towards the front corner of the mat because again, it's easier. I want you to use around that glute area. So keep that leg engaged and pressing towards the back area of you. I don't mean we necessarily have to push it to the back corner, but don't let it sneak forwards as we travel, as we move with the leg towards the sky. We are holding the leg raised now for me. Lift and hold. Just double check you've lengthened that leg nice and long in case you're a knee bender, which is okay. And then we're going to take circles here. We're going to just circle that toe, drawing circles on the wall to the side. But be mindful again, this is not happening just at the ankle. This is not just happening at the knee. This is happening at the thigh bone. In that hip socket, scooping around. Reverse direction here. Remember the bit of the area behind you, yes? Remember to press that leg behind you as part of your circle and then lower your leg to the floor. Bring both knees into your chest now, okay? Give them a little moment to just relax. Place your hands on the mat and we're going to then just sit up and swing our legs to the other side. Over they go and into extension down the middle of the mat. Choosing your level. Okay. Choosing that level. Again, tidy yourself up just as we did before. Hand in front of the belly button, shoulder blades back and down, necks are long. Top leg reaching that extra millimeter to bring our hips into alignment. And then when you're ready, breathing in, tummy in, floor strong as you lift your top leg to the sky. Breathe in and exhale as you lift and lower. Exhale. And let's just check we feel comfortable on this side with the hip and lower and raise. Last two. And our final one where we hold with the leg raised for me. So go ahead and hold here. Well done. Now we're going to bend that top knee and we're going to point towards the inside of that knee joint or just gently behind the back of the knee on the floor if you wish. Feel that gentle press of the knee towards the wall behind you, okay? Or maybe the lift of the knee towards the sky. It depends on that mental visual for you. Trying to open up the front of the pelvis here, stretching from side to side. And then we extend that leg down towards the end of the mat where your legs then meet and your hips are parallel to the front. We breathe in, exhale, top leg lift. And take your knee up as you touch into the side of your knee joint. Pressing to open and then sliding your leg along the floor. Breathe in and single leg lift. Top leg bending and your toe touches the knee joint area or behind and slide to face the front. Grow long, pull nice and long, lift and bend and press open and engage your legs down the mat. Where they pause and you bend your lower leg to 90, bringing this lovely lower foot towards your bottom. Lift your top leg to hip height, and again, bend that knee at 90 degrees. Remembering we've got that table at hip height for our movement, we're going to breathe in and exhale as you bring your knee into your chest. Still trying to keep that knee and foot on the table. Breathe in, exhale, still hip height, send that leg behind you. Remember that back heel is still close towards your bottom, not extending that leg, and bring your knee into your chest. Breathing in, exhale, send that leg behind you. Stretch the front of the hip flexor there. Breathe in, exhale, knee to chest. Try not to drop that knee down, keep it hip height, and the same at the back. We tend to lift that leg high at the back. We want to keep it hip height. One more time, we'll try that both ways. Breathe in, exhale, knee to chest, and breathe in, exhale, and knee behind. Wonderful. Bring that leg in front of you, and we're going to plop it down on the floor, knee and foot coming onto the floor, and extend the lower leg to a straight long leg along the middle of your mat. Remember, it's a little bit towards the back of you guys. Okay, don't have that leg at the front corner if you can avoid it. Long legs with a perfectly lovely balanced glass of water on that top ankle. I'm going to lift that glass of water towards the sky and lower. Breathe in, exhale, lifting and lowering. Again, just exploring that that leg is nice and straight. Explore if you're drawing the leg towards the back of you. Perhaps you can feel that slight little pinch of muscles around the lower part of your bottom cheek, as opposed to the front part of your pelvis. Okay, so try and think about breathing in, exhale, lift towards the back for 2 more. And that's our last one, where we're going to pause. Check your leg is lengthened. Yes, nice and long. Give it an extra little reach before we go into our circles. When you're ready, off we go with our circles on the wall. Alrighty. Again, exploring that back area of the circling, making sure you're getting all the way around, not by bending the knee, but by pulling the thigh bone towards the back of you, stretching through the hip and reversing direction here. Let's go for 4, for 3, for 2, and our last one. Well done. Pausing there. Bring that knee into your chest. Just pause for a moment. Okay. And we're just going to roll onto all fours. So bring your hands onto your mat. Pull your knees underneath you, and you're into 4-point kneeling. Okay, so we're going to do a 4-point kneeling, thread the needle. Okay, so the first one or two you might feel is a little bit restricted perhaps by your shoulders, but just go with the flow and see how you feel. I'm going to ask you first of all to just take your left hand, and we're going to lift it off the mat and place it behind your right hand, underneath your right armpit, and you're going to bend your right elbow, okay? And you're going to think, okay, how much can I bend this elbow? Can I bend it enough to get my head onto the mat? Okay, maybe you can plop down onto the mat. You might feel like you want to walk your hands slightly forwards. That might help you get your head onto the mat. Or it may be nowhere near at all, or you want to grab a little cushion and pop that under your head, and then you can get down into your thread the needle that way. All right, when you're there, just relax, let the shins relax, and then you're going to bring yourself back up, and we're going to work the other side. So you're going to bring your right hand now off the mat, slide it behind your left hand, palm faced up, looking towards the left, bending your left arm, and see how far you can get down towards the mat. Okay, no great medals for achievement. You're just going to see where you feel with yourself. Okay, it doesn't have to be on the mat. And then bring yourself back up. We're going to do one more either side. Maybe if you're nearly there, you might want to explore with your arms slightly further forward. Maybe have a go and see how that feels. Left hand now sliding underneath the right armpit. Maybe you can have a little look underneath that right armpit. Yes, and turning your head to the side. Back up into your 4-point, and your right hand disappearing underneath the left, bending the left arm, head towards the mat, and looking under the armpit if you can, feeling rotation and twist through the spine. Enjoying that there. And then draw yourself back up into 4-point kneeling. Walk your hands back towards your knees. We're going to swing those legs to the side, or maybe you prefer to cross your legs and roll over your feet, because we're going to be lying down one more time. All right, so find yourself in the middle of the mat. of your mat, and then we're peeling back down onto the mat, or draw yourself down by your side and onto the mat into supine lying for one more time. Okay, so here we are, supine lying. Okay, so guys, we're going to do an ankle reach. If you're very conscious that pieces can sometimes come into your neck, I want you to maybe support your hands with your head with your hands in this particular position that you're familiar with. Hands behind the skull and thumbs are on your jawline. Okay, I'm going to show you the piece first. So you can get an idea of the movement that we're going to be doing. We are with our hands by our side or head, and we're going to be lifting into an abdominal curl. So at which point I want you to begin with thinking our chin comes into the chest, and we lift and we look towards our kneecaps. And if we're here, we have our arms lifting towards our shins or ankle direction, or you're perhaps here and we have our hands behind the head. We are not going to be ab twisting. We are going to be thinking about reaching one set of fingertips towards the ankle and back to center, and then we're reaching the other fingertips to the ankle and back to center. If your hands are behind your head, you're going to be reaching your elbow to the ankle and the elbow to the ankle. You see the difference between that and the spine twist, the crisscross that we do? Yeah, okay. If you're not busy already having a go ahead and choose your head hold and breathe in and exhale and lift. Arms are up or your hands are behind your head. When you're ready, breathe in, exhale, reach to the side and back to center. Reach to the side and to center. Breathe in center, exhale as you reach. Breathe in center as you reach. You're more than welcome to modify if you're finding, yep, you tried one version and that's not now really very good for you, in which case you can support the head and just reach with the elbow. We'll continue for our last 4 and 3. Breathe in and 2 and last 1 and peel down, down, down onto the mat. Wonderful, well done. Okay, from here we're going to take our hands behind the head for everybody, placing the thumbs on the jawline, and just use this as a little moment to remind yourself whenever you pop your hands in this hold that you're really trying to lengthen the spine. Even when we're lying down, think, am I lengthening through the neck? Am I feeling like I'm almost pulling from this lower little tailbone here underneath the coccyx? And am I lengthening towards the crown of my head? Then I'm going to come into my abdominal curl. So a lovely breath in and gently draw your chin to your chest and into your abdominal curl. Shoulder blades are back and down. Now I want you to lift your left shoulder blade off the mat and roll onto your right shoulder blade. Look over to the right side. Now, are your hip bones still parallel to the ceiling, or have you lifted that back left hip bone off the floor? Okay, I want you to think about coming back to center and onto the mat. Let's do that again. Breathe in, roll long, and we're going to lift the right shoulder blade, roll onto the left shoulder blade. Okay, but your right hip stays down on the mat, please, and then you peel back down onto the mat, both shoulder blades on the mat, head down 2. Breathe in, lift your left shoulder blade, roll onto the right, left hip still pressing down into the mat, and come back down. Breathe in, exhale, roll onto the left shoulder blade, right hip pressing down, and come back to center. Okay, so taking this upper level, we're going to take, we're going to bring our legs into tabletop. So breathe in, and just like with the foot float right at the outset, tummy in, pelvic floor strong, and float that leg into tabletop. Breathe in and go ahead and exhale, draw your other leg into tabletop as well. Now, if this position is immediately too much, please go ahead and take your feet back down. That is absolutely fine to continue one more set as you did before. Otherwise, with our legs in tabletop, let's try this twist. Breathe in, exhale, lift your left shoulder blade over onto your right shoulder blade. And again, check that left hip's pressing down, and then you come back onto the floor. Breathing in, exhale, lift your right shoulder blade onto the left shoulder blade, right hip nicely connected and level through the pelvis. Breathe in. We've got 2 more. Belly to spine. Keep pressing that belly button down like you've got a bunch of bean bags connecting, sitting on your tummy button, connecting your tummy to spine. Last time to the left, lifting your right shoulder blade, roll to the left, and then peel back down. Take one foot onto the floor and then the other. Hands away from heads and knees into chest, and a gentle roll around. So those knees are drawing circles forwards here on the ceiling and the other way. Easy work, gorgeous, well done. Placing your feet back down one at a time. Hands come by your sides now. Resting the hands by your sides. Shoulder blades are broad, so feel a bit of a connection where you almost roll the shoulder blades back and you'll feel that side and edge of your shoulder blade connecting a little bit more on the mat. Bring your right knee into your chest and place it back down. Bring your left knee into your chest and place it back down. And the right knee comes in, and go ahead and let that leg extend towards the sky. And now find your tailbone. Imagine where that is. And I want you to just let that tailbone press into the mat and see if you can hold behind your thigh, okay? And draw that leg slightly further in towards you. Okay, we're going to try and avoid that leg bending if you can. So it's sort of two energies. One is through the top of the foot, lifting and lengthening the leg, and the other is that one bringing the leg bone in towards you, the thigh bone. Okay, we're going to let that leg rest down and arms come by your side. Bring your knee into your chest on the other side, left knee in. Extend the leg to the sky. And before we do anything else, find your tailbone, let it sink into the mat slightly. And now you're nicely pinned down, you see, and anchored in that pelvis. Now grab hold of the thigh and perhaps see if you can draw that thigh in a little bit towards you, okay? Pinned with the pelvis means you don't start to lift that bottom. And then, of course, you can get all sorts of leg lengthening as the bum's off the ground, but that is not actually using the thigh and stretching the hamstring and glutes. Okay, and place that foot back down the mat. Okay, so we're going to go into our scissors. Of course, you can choose if your if your head stays down, or you can go ahead and support the back of your head with your hands, thumbs on your neck. Remember that moment you think, yep, lengthen the spine. Breathing in and exhale into abdominal curl. Bring your right knee into your chest and extend your right leg to the sky. Okay, good. Don't forget this can be done with your head down, guys. Now we're going to then hold on to the leg. Again, choose if your head's down or up. We're going to just keep up, up, up. Use the leg perhaps to get you lifted a little bit higher, but bring your chin to chest. Then we're going to switch sides, and the left leg comes up and draw the leg towards you. That nose coming slightly, that knee coming slightly closer towards your nose perhaps each time, and pull in and switch. The foot just rests on the mat in between, and switch, and switch. Last two, and switch, and switch. Wonderful. Place that leg back down and peel down onto the mat. Rolling onto your tummies, please, guys. We're going to have our arms really wide, like a V, out at the corners of your mat, and legs are also nice and wide as well. Forehead down on the mat for our swimming. Okay, reaching nice and long through the arms and the legs. I'm just going to get you to think about that belly button just gently pulling up. All righty, so just as if it's trying to pull in away from the t-shirt and away from the mat there at the front of you. Go ahead for me and breathe in, and as you exhale, lift your your arm, single arm lift, and opposite leg off the mat. Reach those arms and legs, those single raised limbs away from the torso, and then lower them back down. Breathing in, exhale belly to spine. Even the pelvic floors can slightly pull in as you lift your opposite set of arm and leg combo. Down onto the floor, breathing in, exhale, lift. Now I'm thinking about long lengthened limbs, a little bit more than raising to get the great height here. Breathe in, lengthen, and lift. Down, breathe in, exhale, lift, and down. And we're going to lift, opposite arm and leg, and lower, and lift, and lower, pausing down. Now, if you would like to, we're going to add in the head lift, okay? The head comes up, forehead is going to be facing down towards the floor. So we're not trying to look up towards the other side of the mat at this point. Your head stays facing down, forehead in parallel to the mat. And you come back down, forehead kisses the mat in between, we breathe in. Exhale, lift, arm, leg, head, and down into the mat. Now, if of course this is too much for your lower back, please leave the head down and work on limbs only. Otherwise, continuing lift arm, leg, head, and down. In between, breathe in, exhale, belly in, and lift arm, leg, head, and back down. And last two, breathe in, exhale, and lift, and lower, breathe in, exhale, and lift, and lower. Gorgeous. Well done. All righty. Zipping your legs together, place your hands by your shoulders. We're going to come up and into 4-point kneeling. So you might need to bring yourself up and over in a lever, or perhaps you can tuck your legs in towards your side and you can then peel yourself up with the upper body and swing the legs underneath you. Okay, whichever way works for you. In 4-point kneeling. Okie dokie. Shoulders are back, okay, and our tummies are in, as if you're just trying to pull them off the mat like you did a moment ago. Not a great hunch at the back, but a gentle pulling in towards the spine. Now, we're in 4-point kneeling. I want you to now think about bringing your head slightly forwards, okay, so pull your head by about 5 or 10 centimeters forwards towards the short edge of that mat, front edge of the mat in front of you. And the body comes slightly forwards as well, you'll notice. Now, can you remind yourself there is a space between your ears and the top of your shoulders? Sometimes when we go into push-up, I see a lot of this happening. If you can just cast your eyes to me a moment, the shoulders come up and we get this kind of really hunched, uncomfortable looking position with the shoulders. I want you to think your neck stays long and you are forwards of these fingers as you are now. Your elbows are simply going to bend to the side of you, okay? They're not coming up here close towards your ears. They're staying really low towards your hips and knee direction. And then we straighten the arms. It is no more than that. Just like the tricep work, you just bend the arm joint and then you straighten the arm joint. Nothing else moves at all. Just a bend in the elbows, and up we go. So facing forwards, we see the elbows just heading to the sides. Okay, so unlike triceps, this time we are going towards the side of us, working across the shoulders, working across our trapezius muscles and across those rotator cuff muscles slightly, because we're encouraging them to elbows, I beg your pardon, the shoulders to stay away from the earlobes. We've got one more. I'm not after noses on the mat. I'm definitely not after that. I'm just after a softening of the elbow and a straightening of the arm. When we finish this next one, just pause back in child's pose. Now, guys, remember child's pose can be bottoms back to the heels. It may be that your bottoms don't like going back that far, in which case just have the bottom lifted. But if you could try and have the arms straight for me and palms down on the floor, that would be superb because we get a nice arm stretch too. If your forehead can meander to the mat, that is great. Maybe it's nice if you have a cushion just below you. And just take a chance. You've got a minute here, so also breathe in and exhale. Let the rib cage sink towards the mat. Let the face just relax. Let all the skin, the muscle tissue, everything at the front of that face just have a nice sink down towards the mat. The lips are heavy, the face is heavy. When you're ready, we're just going to walk our hands now back towards our knees. Okay, and we're going to then take a little time to tuck our toes under, or decide if your toes don't like to do that, we can push into a small crouch position. But we're going to bring ourselves into standing. So take our time. We're going to tuck our tummy in and bring our chin to the chest. And whether you've got yourself in crouch or a small ball, the heels are down on the floor. We're going to stay really pulled in with that belly. And we're going to start to extend the legs so that they're straight and then restack vertebrae by vertebrae up into standing, including the cervical spine being the last ones to restack. And we're back into the center of our mats. Okay. All righty, hands down by your side and find your feet in parallel for me. Find that lovely skeleton that's perfectly stacked and grounded through the soles of the feet. We're going to take ourselves into a double arm float. So breathe in as you lift your arms towards the sky. Turn your palms away from each other and press the air down by the side and try and grow even taller through the crown of the head. Breathe in, lift the arms to the sky. Turn palms away, press the air down, grow, make space between the vertebrae and all the joints through the hips, knees and ankles, pausing here. Hands down by your sides and weighted over the soles of the feet, nice and evenly, left and right, front and back. Close your eyes if you can. And breathe into this thoracic space and exhale. Try and think about a tiny zip and hollow if you can. And breathe in. Exhale, gentle zip and hollow. One more time. With this exhale, open your eyes. And we are done for this week. Well done. Thank you for joining me for this foundation course in week 4. I look forward to seeing you either in the studio next week or on another recording of either mixed ability or foundations, but hopefully I will see you soon. Take care for now. Bye-bye.